Hey, what's going on, guys? It's me, Train Man, and here we are back fixing trees. That's actually what most of this episode is. It's ground and trees. I did try to do some other stuff, but like I've said, we're kind of running out of other things to do, although the game decided to present us with a brand new opportunity to, redo something that we've already done. In the form of all of the signals on the route, and I'll get to that when I get to it. Maybe I'm a little salty. Anyways, here we go, texturing more of the gorge. We've obviously got to terrain a little bit more of it before we go too far. But, this area I started biting into. Kind of regret that. Didn't really go in and flatten it out, though, so it's going to stay that way. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the intermediate sections. I might do the same thing, maybe with a lower sensitivity. Because it kind of got out of control. Now, here I was looking for a switch tower and did not find one, although I need one, so I'm going to put one down. I'll do that in a future thing. Realized that there were a couple of large areas here that I could get done fairly quickly, and these would be farms, and so that means, Jader, I have a job for you. Not immediately, though. It's simple stuff. It's just going to be filling in this area with texture, maybe giving me more time to do giving me more time to do more groundwork like this, and don't worry, we'll have plenty of that to do, and soon enough, and soon when I decide, basically, then I will go to work on another section, which actually hasn't been featured yet, and probably won't be featured for a significant amount of time, in the Iron Horseman Chronicles at least. We just don't know about it too much. I still need to plot it out. I've still got a giant mountain to build, which has to do directly with that. And also I need some kind of oddly specific stuff, including cog track. And that's not really a spoiler, but it's just one of the little things that I need to take care of. And maybe I can stand it in with some narrow gauge track for the time being. But eventually I'm going to want some cog track. And maybe even some, maybe I can pull the base station from the Mount Washington Cog Railway off of Google Earth. That's actually a really useful tool. I'm not entirely sure how to do it, though. Kavan's done it. I don't know how to do it. Anyways. So here we are just putting this nice big slope. I don't know. It's just sort of making this area flat, and flat enough to use, and flat enough to say, okay, well, here we go. And were it somewhere else, somewhere that I wasn't, thinking of just throwing farms in, I would go ahead and go over it again, and there are a couple areas where I don't do this, including one where I just say, okay, well, we're going to get this done, and, you'll see. We'll get to that one. And then, of course, the rails are slightly disparate from where the actual ground is, so that's one of the things we have to take care of. This area between Albany and, that area between Albany and Wyvern, that we were just working on, it needs a lot more work, but it's going to be fairly straightforward work. It's not going to be like the gorge or anything. It's just going to be, basically what we're doing on the other side of the gorge, where we've got to get everything flat-ish, and then we can put some hills on it, and then we can put some trees on it and call it a day. But that's really going to be that for them. We're getting stuck here for a second. Little autosave. And there we go. Alright. If this was normal speed, I think I'd actually sit down and cut those out, but because it's 8 times speed, and they go fairly quickly in the grand scheme of things, at least in 8 times speed, that it's something I'm not too concerned with. Little basic test there. Again, we do a little bit more of the finicky ground stuff, and again, I like to do everything by hand, so it ends up looking fairly good in the end, or at least I think so. And, of course, this is one of those sections, but this isn't near track, this isn't, complicated or interesting at all. It's just an area that I need to cover up and then paint green and cover in trees. And I don't think that's what we do today, but it's something that... Oh, wait, yeah, it is. Alright. I was going to say, it's something that needs to be done. Just take care of it, right? Like so. And look at that, randomizing the tree splines. I've got to talk about that again later, because people still aren't following my advice with the not making it look like rows of trees. Trust me, it's not that difficult. Alright, so I go there. Oh, I don't realize it yet. There's a point, actually, I think it's in the second clip, where I realize all the signals have gone. You know, why is the ROM always gone? Anyways, sorry, I had to read a message real quick. So, I've got this thing that I'm working on. And I'm clearing out this area. Or no, I'm unclearing it. I'm putting ground here. This is another one of those places where I'm pretty sure I can get away with just treating it as if it is a plane. Which it more or less is, but one of these, or maybe both of them, edges that we're attaching to actually have slope to them. So the slope vector is not with our tracks, but it's close enough because the area is so large that I just kind of ignored it and, you know, carried about my flattening. There's a couple of things that do get done immediately after this, and they're both road-worthy. They're both road-wise, rather. So we get rid of those. And we have a space there that needs to be taken care of, but that makes us fairly close, actually, to completing that area. At least I think so. You know, if memory serves, which it usually doesn't. But I had to put that there, and the reason I have to put that there is because I'm leading off a road down here so that I can go eventually to where the dam is. And not that there's not a road over there right now, but I feel like there ought to be. And also that road would lead into Johnstown, down at the bottom of the hill anyways. Alright, so we're finishing this gravel road as well, and I'm doing that more or less manually. I could have done, you know, I could have played the numbers game with the spline points, decided against it. And I adjusted that a little bit so that I could get the track not covered in ground and some ground still under the road. And now this right here, I fiddled with this a while, and you notice all the cars are turning down the road, or down the dirt. That's not what I want. That's not at all what I want, so I eventually just give in and grab another yarn intersection and toss it in and call it a day. Although I don't call it a day because of that bump right there, so I've got to go and adjust the roadway. And I was on a roll at this point. This clip is over, at this point I think is over an hour of work. And I was like, oh, I should go and, you know, do whatever the hell I had to do at this point. But I was like, oh, but I'm on a roll, so I kept going for a little while. And I textured that, and this area is looking better and better. Except for that right there. That was weird. That must have been just a misclick on my part. So anyways, second clip, I come over here, I realize that there's this little triangle that we've never finished. And that makes all of the major terrain work here incomplete. So I decide to go ahead and finish this real quick, and then I kind of get stuck over here, and this is actually where I spend the rest of the episode. So, taking care of business here, and I think it's somewhere along here that I do realize that, or rather, the problem with the signals. Immediately I blame Jader, because he's been the cause of things disappearing in the past. But it turns out that my signals had just gone faulty, and I went into Content Manager and fixed them, but in the third clip you'll see that the signals still aren't there. So I've got to go in and replace them myself. Maybe I can do it better this time though, because the first time I went through and I didn't actually care about which direction was the main line, so the signals were sometimes kind of confusing. And I'm going to go through again and make sure. Like, I did that with all my dartboards in Troy and in the rest of the, on the rest of the system. Or on the rest of the old main, I should say. But I didn't do that on the rest of the system. Or, you know, on the searchlights. mostly because I didn't do most of the searchlights, and I was just kind of tossing them in to get the damn AI to work when I was testing them. Those are sort of my signal testers. Now, once I get this, once I get that signaled and then get the other route, the lower route signaled, we should have less bottlenecks. And also, when the line up to Summit on the west side gets redone, because that needs to be redone. You know, there's very little in this map that I'll say has to be redone, and that may well be the only thing, but it needs to be redone. Everything else is pretty good. At least, pretty good. Anyways, so, you know, that's when I realized, hey, we've got no signals, and I went through here and I checked, okay, well, are these here? No. Are these here? No. Are these here? No. And I realized, when I backed out into Content Manager, that both my red and green Corona were broken. And I think it was because I replaced them with some ones that I got for whatever reason. What reason? I got them for some F40s. So actually, Gerald, this is your fault. So I love me some F40s, but they F my map up. So I back out here, and you'll notice that it's freezing, and I go back into it here just to check. This is my making sure that it wasn't Jader's fault, and then going, okay, yeah, all my signals are faulty. And so I come back in here, and I went and I fixed the signals and whatever, and so I just come back in here and I go and work on other things. So it occurred to me that this area is forest, and Jader is not commissioned to do forest, he's commissioned to do farms. And occasionally mountains if I'm feeling particularly mean. Also, I realized that this wasn't done either, right about when I came over here. So I grab it, and I just used copy-paste to fill it in. And that was quick. So, anyways, that taken care of, I moved on to making this green, and the forest is going to end at the river, and on the other side of the river, there's going to be farms. So, that's going to be not my job, and this part is my job. Now, I know you may not get a chance to do it, but if you looked at those trees there when we just passed them just now, you may have noticed something odd. That being that they're all perfectly uniform and in lines. Is nature like that? No, it's not, for those of you that hadn't answered immediately. So, the thing is, when you're making tree splines, and when you're making grass splines, and when you're making splines of things in general, you can't just throw them down and make them all parallel and say, oh, it works, because if you look at them, you may notice that it looks stupid. So, that's kind of, I urge the randomization of trees. And the easiest way to do this is just place them all over the place when you're starting. But another way to do it is, I guess, cover the whole area and then fill it in with the random diagonal bits. I don't know. But anyways, this is me filling in random diagonal bits. Also, alternatively, if you don't feel like doing random diagonal bits all damn day, you can do what I'm about to do, which is just copy a section of random diagonal bits. And if they are random, copy-pasting the randomness in a random fashion won't trip anybody off, especially if you fill in the gaps with more random stuff. Randomness, for lack of a better word, is good. Now, if you'll notice, we've got that road there, and it doesn't have anything under it to indicate that it's a road, but I'll get some ground cover eventually. Anyway, so we're taking care of filling in this area. And part of me does regret that I didn't go ahead and stick a hill here first, but because of time constraints, I think if I went out of my way to put a hill here, we would have been in more trouble than... I don't think I would have been able to finish this area here, despite all the copy-pasting. So, you know, and that would have made me mildly upset if I had, like, a handful of tree spines left and I had to... left and I had to run out anyways. And even then, I don't think I did finish, because there are a couple of areas where you'll notice over here I'm getting careful, and there are a couple of areas I don't think I finished completely, and that river needs a riverbed texture as well. These guys are fairly narrow tree splines, so it became a little bit of a problem to cover huge areas with them. That's why copy-paste became an invaluable tool to me at this point. If it was Maple Beach Birch, I wouldn't have bothered. Because, it only works so well. And Maple Beach Birch is a really big spline. This is less than half the width. Alright, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next week for another episode of the same. Train Man out.